Hello. As you can see, it's kind of dark. That's because we're outside in the garden here. I apologise if there's any wind noise in this video at all, but we are outside, like I've said. Got the water cooling set up in the garden. We've got the pond pump here. We're currently running some 3D Mark Vantage on I don't know how much of that you can see because it's kind of dark, but it's SLI GTX580s. I had a run outside with them yesterday. You can see here, one of them is a full cover water block and the other one's just got an EK monoblock, and I've put some little heat sinks and the base plate on because they're both MSI ones, so they both come with a little base plate. So yeah, as you can see, we are outdoor benching. So the score we have to beat was actually from yesterday. I did some outside overclocking on air cooling. It was actually a little bit warmer yesterday, and you'll be able to see on my phone screen here if I increase the brightness a little. So you can see yesterday I was using the 5960X at 4.9. I had the GPUs at 955 MHz on the core and 1135 on the memory. And you can see in Vantage we got 61,921. So we're going to try and beat that today. I did forget to set my RAM timings yesterday. They were at 13, 14, 14, 28 instead of 12, 11, 11, 28. So we will see how that goes. And as you can see, if I just close that a second, we were actually 9th out of 285 people. So this is some pretty decent hardware points. The next guy on the list to beat was at 62,325. So yeah, it's currently about 6 degrees Celsius. I haven't actually got a temperature monitor out here, so I can't show you, but there is one inside which I've checked, which is saying the outside temperature is 6.2 currently. So the water temps should be fairly decent as well. I'm running the cards at the moment at the same speed I was yesterday when I got my highest score, so it might score a little bit lower initially. So I've also got the power meter set up down here so I can measure the maximum amount of power that the cards use. Now obviously these are reference cards, so I am limited to 1.15 volts without volt modding. And unfortunately GTX580s, the VRMs do tend to blow up if you go much past 1.2 volts, so I won't recommend that. You can see the underglow from my LEDs pretty well, but the rest of the video is going to be pretty dark unfortunately. So we're just doing GT2 at the minute. We're using 12.5 LOD currently. So it's a pretty decent LOD level, quite high. I am going to try and get the 5960X there to about 5 GHz as well, and try and get over 2,000 points in Cinebench. Because of the colder ambient temperature of the water, opposed to being 20-25 degrees, the water should be about 10, with it being 6 degrees. Obviously we've got plenty of air going through the radiator, and we've got a little bit of wind. You can see the plants blowing there. So it's going on to graphics test, CPU test 2, sorry. So we've nearly got our first score. I'll try and update you all the way through, but because of the wind and the darkness, I'm probably I'm only going to update you every time there's a score, and if we beat the score in first as well. Now unfortunately I haven't been able to do a live stream outside because I'd have to bring my main PC and another monitor outside, and that's not really much good. So it has finished. We've got our first score of the evening, which is 61,391. So I think we're down a bit on the graphics score here. We're getting 59,000 yesterday, but hopefully I should be able to get 10 or 12 more megahertz. Now you can see here the maximum GPU temperatures, 33 on GPU 1 and 24 on GPU 2, which is pretty damn chilly. Even for water cooling, I mean 24 degrees is what the temperature is most of the time inside, and you can see the settings here. This is the same on both cards, they're locked together. So yeah, let's have a look down this. Is there anything interesting? GPU usage was at 100% most of the time. CPU temperatures getting to still the mid 60s on some of the cores, because it is a 5960X, so it still gets pretty toasty. But what we're going to do is we're going to try and 965 megahertz and see if we can get a few more points here, and I'll update back if I manage to get a score. Might even see a few fireworks as well at some point, because it is the 4th of November I think today, so it's technically bonfire night tomorrow, but I guess a lot of people will be doing them today rather than tomorrow because of well, it's Saturday today, and obviously Sunday night's not the best night to stay up late on, but whatever. It's cold. Hopefully we'll be going for a few hours yet, but I'll put my hands in my pockets and get rid of this phone now, because otherwise I'll freeze. So just so you can see the temperatures, I've come back inside now for a second. You can see 6 degrees Celsius outside, it's 17 inside, because obviously I've had the door open to get all the stuff out, and it's 7 o'clock on Saturday. There we go, pretty chilly. Not too cold yet though, been out in -1, 0 before, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. So, we have our second score of the evening, and as you can see we're still not quite where we were yesterday, but we're only 300 odd points off now. So we are at slightly higher clock speed, so I guess the memory timings have gone a bit. So what we'll do is we'll increase the RAM speed to 2290 in Afterburner, which is 1145, and I'll increase the core clock to 970. Now you can see the temperatures are still staying consistently at a maximum of 24 on GPU 2 and 33 on GPU 1. 5960X is still at the same speeds it was yesterday, but we have got slightly tighter memory timings, like I said earlier, so hopefully the CPU score is a little bit higher on average. It does fluctuate between sort of low and high 72,000, so we'll have to see if it makes much of a difference, but so far we're making a little bit of progress, so that's good. Hello, we've just got our third score here. GPU score is getting up kind of where it needs to be, but the CPU score went down 200 points on that run. Temperature wise, exactly the same as before. I don't know why we're scoring lower than yesterday at the same clocks, or even higher clocks. It's kind of weird, but we'll try 980 next. And the other thing I'm going to do as well is just check my LOD settings. And Video Inspector, we'll open that up. So for 3D Mark Vantage, all the settings look okay. Might go for a 13.5 LOD maybe, see if that helps. We'll have a go at that, see if we can score any better. So what's this, the 4th score now I think? We're definitely getting there now, only 20 points off. We are way higher on the core clock here, 980, and it would focus 2290 on the memory. Temperature's still pretty chilly, so I think we'll go for maybe 2300 on the memory, I guess, and see how we go. Okay, so it crashed at the previous settings, which is weird, but I rebooted. So before we were trying 980 on the core and 2300 on the memory. Now it was actually scoring lower, and basically all I've done is I've rebooted the PC, set 975 and 2230, and we've managed to get a higher score. So that's pretty good. We've got 62,100. It's not actually high enough to get another place, but at least we're going in the right direction this time. So what I'm going to probably do is I'm going to bump the score up in, or the memory clock up in little bits, and see if that improves the score, and where the memory clock starts to tail off on the performance, because clearly wherever it got to yesterday it crashed after that, but if I set it straight away, maybe the memory timings don't stay as tight. I'm not entirely sure, so we will have to see about that. Oh, actually the memory timings are at 12, 12, 12, 12, 28, so that's CPU speed, 1.39 volts, and there's the speed of the GPUs on GPU-Z there. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this, and I suppose we'll carry on from here instead of where we were. So finally we've made some progress. It's not been very scientific. I've just been rebooting the PC, trying a few different speeds. 977 on the core and 2270 on the memory, but first running it at 2250 has so far yielded the best result, which is 62,499. That actually gets us into the 9th position, if I remember correctly. And we're just going to put it up 2 megahertz on the core and 15 on the memory, and that's pretty much it. And we're going to try again. I'm not expecting to get much higher, to be honest, but I would love to get 60,000 on the GPU score, but I don't know whether we're going to be able to do it. It's getting even colder now. I think it's about 5.5 degrees out here, and like I said, we've gone back to 12.5 on the LOD, so I don't think 13.5 was really helping very much, to be honest. So we've gone back to 12.5 on that, but otherwise I've just been rebooting it, starting off at say 2230 on the memory, then I went up to 2245 and it crashed. That was with 970 on the core, and then we tried 960 on the core and 2250 on the memory, and that was okay. So then we tried 970 on the core, 2250 on the memory, that was okay. So then we tried 2270 on the memory with 977 on the core, and that got us our highest score so far. So yeah, it's going pretty well. now that we've got an extra place. I'll just try and get the page up on hardware, but again, oh yeah, I already have it up. So let me get this the right way around. There we go. So previous best score was 61,921, and we just got 62,499, which actually puts us in 8th, not 9th. We have got quite a way, 62,720 to get up to 7th. So we are talking about beating Russians here, and the Russians do tend to use very cold. Yeah, he's on liquid nitrogen, and he's using dual 6-core Xeons, which is an interesting choice. Let's have a look at his score here. Okay, so Xeons look to be not reporting the clock speeds correctly, I guess. And you can see his GPU and CPU score there. His CPU score is actually quite a bit higher than mine. So what's he got his cards at? His cards are a lot faster, but his score's not actually that high. So I'm guessing because of the CPU core speed, his graphics card score is slightly lower, but because of the extra CPU cores, because he's literally got 12 cores, 24 threads, his CPU score's a bit higher. And then to get up to the next stage, we're talking serious speeds here. Again, cards on liquid nitrogen, and a 3960X, which is fairly old, but 5.5 gigahertz. So that's pretty quick on the core speed there. So I'll have a look. Oh yeah, he's got a really meaty GPU score there, 66k, and we can't even break 60, but only 55 on his CPU score. So you can see most of the rigs we're up against are older rigs, but they're on liquid nitrogen, so they are fairly decent speeds. Anyway, we'll see how this next run turns out, and I'll update you if we get any more decent scores. See you in a bit. So it's been quite a while now, and I've tried millions of different combinations to try and get these GTX580s to score a bit higher, and unfortunately we were stuck where we were, 62,499. So I've put the CPU to 5 gigahertz. This is going to be the first test. We're still sticking to the same voltage, but we're at 4.925 before. So we're basically going to see if the CPU will run at the at 5 gigahertz with the colder water. We'll give it a try anyway. With the GPUs running at full speed as well, I'll need to do 2 runs to get the GPUs to full speed. Excuse the police car coming past on the road. This is ending up like a Buildzoid stream. All the police cars. Anyway, we'll see how it fares in the CPU test. But yeah, like I was saying, probably need to run this test twice to get the GPUs working at full speed. Unfortunately, they aren't really going that much faster than they were when they were on air cooling, to be honest, so that's a bit disappointing. And the scores are staying pretty much the same. I've got 62,400, 62,300 quite a few times now, but I think it's time for this CPU bump to 5 gigahertz, and hopefully this will bring us up to the next level, shall we say, which would be I think 62,700 and something for the next place. So we'll give it a go, see how it turns out. I'll probably start filming again if it ever makes it to the CPU test, and we'll see what happens there. Okay, so we're on the CPU test now. Score looking a little bit higher, maybe a little bit, not a great deal, but even if we can push 1,000 more on the CPU, that'll really help. And in the CPU limited bits of the GT tests, that will help as well, I suppose. Yeah, rig's still going fairly well. Oh, I thought it crashed then. Was just starting the test. I have a top tip for anyone who I can't speak. Top tip for anyone who's benching outside in the weather: I don't recommend you sit here and film what you're doing like I am. Ah yeah, you can see there, 73,000, very nice. And that was a Nissan GTR that just came past, if you were wondering. You can hear kind of quite a distinct sound actually. Anyway, so we've got a decent score there. I've bumped the memory clock up on the GPUs, and see how that goes. But yeah, top tip for anyone benching outside when it's cold, I suggest firstly you wear a coat and a jumper and all that rubbish as well. And I also recommend that you move around a bit. You walk up and down the garden, even though it's dark, while you're benching, and you can keep warm, and you can see the monitor from quite far away when it's dark as well, so you can see if it's crashed or not, which is pretty good. And if you move around a bit, you stay warmer for a lot longer, whereas if you just sit down all the time, you tend to get pretty chilly. So I've just been walking up and down the patio a bit. So yeah, I don't know what temperature it is now. I'm guessing it's about 5 degrees. It's supposed to be -1 tomorrow, so I'm going to be benching maybe some stuff for the Country Cup, is it, tomorrow? And I've got a couple of things for that here now. So I've got my 60, it's not 60, it's a 7950, which I'll just take into the light over here. That's a MSI 6950 twin frozer, so I'm going to run that outside while it's nice and cold. GPU Pi 32B, as well as Vantage 3D11, and we've also got the 7970 Lightning as well. I think this is for stage 5 of the Country Cup. We need a 700 series or R9 280X or R9 280s, which are basically the same GPUs as these, they were just rebrands. So anyway, I've got my phone charger on charge from the USB port from the overclocking PC as well. Now, as for power consumption, I'm just going to put you down for a second. What are we looking at here? Can you see that? I don't know, I can't see the screen. There we go. Over 700 watts. 600. Don't know what the maximum is. I've got some fireworks going off as well now. I think that's it for now, maybe. That's pretty close. Come down the slope. You can see the rig down on the bench table, which is actually a picnic table. I've just got the cool box on the seat there, and you can see I'm still on GT2. Oh, fireworks going off over there now. Like I say, it is the day before bonfire night, so some people are letting off the fireworks. Not entirely sure where they are when they let them off one at a time like that now. Just hear a big bang. Looking pretty good. This is at 2270 on the memory. The score isn't dropping below 10,300, which it usually goes down to 10,200, so hopefully we've stayed above 73,000 for the CPU score. Got the 1080 rad, its usual 7 fans working, so obviously maximum efficiency. Unfortunately the cable for this top one doesn't quite reach, which you can't really see because it's dark. Keep forgetting that. Camera can't see anything. I need to get the tripod out actually. Would probably help. Anyway, we'll see what score we've got. 62,300. That's kind of disappointing. Hoping higher than that. Oh well, we will carry on and try again because the CPU score is still really good. So we have actually managed to get a higher score eventually. It's still not enough to get that next place, but it is higher. So that was at 978 on the core and back down to 2235 on the memory. So we're going to try probably a little bit higher on the memory, 2245, see how that goes. Yeah, we'll see anyway. So unfortunately it's just crashed. So I think at this point I'm going to have to give up. For Vantage anyway, we have got one more place higher and we are very close to the next place, but to be honest I don't think it's going to happen, even if I run it another 100 times. So we're going to move on to 3D Mark 11 now. So if I get my phone and see what score we need for that. We're going to leave the CPU at 5 GHz for now because we might as well, and we shall see how it goes really. So let's set the GPUs up. So we've got 3D Mark 11 and it's the advanced edition. So we don't have to submit the scores online because obviously we haven't got an Ethernet cable out here in the sticks. We'll start at 970 on the core, and I can't remember what I had the memory at yesterday. So again, we are going to have to look on the hardware bot, I suppose. Vantage. So let's have a look at the scores. Some more fireworks going off in the background, but we'll ignore them. Come on phone. Speed. So obviously as soon as I stopped recording, the thing loaded, didn't it? So the score we have to beat is 15,565 and the core speed was at 970 and the memory again was at 1135, and they're the scores we have to beat. So 15,557 on the GPU with a physics score of 17,000 and a combined score of 13,000. So, and that was last night on air cooling. So you can see the pictures of that here. There we go. It was actually raining yesterday. I had to have the umbrella out, which is why I didn't do any filming. And I stopped at probably 8 or 9 o'clock and it's 9:30 It's nearly 9 o'clock now, as you can see on the top corner of my phone there. So we'll see what this first run gets and then go from there, I suppose. Okay, we are getting somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. May not have seemed long for you, but it was quite a while for me. 975 on the core, 2235 on the memory. 15,654, which puts us up to 21st place. We're going to try and get in the top 20, so we need another 50 to 100 points really. So we're going to go for that, see how it goes. It's still pretty cold, but I don't think it's getting any colder now, unfortunately. So we'll see how it goes anyway. What I did was, to get it to work, because I was getting lower and lower scores, was I've basically gone from 950 to 975 megahertz in 5 megahertz increment steps, and the same on the memory as well. So it's taken quite a while to get to this level actually, but it does mean we have actually made some progress, which is fairly nice. Now, what did I say it was? 977 on the core and 1118 on the memory. I think the next step is to try the 2270 on the memory and see if that helps at all. So although I've been bumping the memory up slowly, usually if I go up to 2270 it works a bit better, but I wanted to just keep the memory fairly stable while I was overclocking the core. So 2270 on the memory, and let's hope this works. Unfortunately, it looks like it's crashed again, so mouse isn't moving, so we're going to have to restart it again. So I think that's all we're going to get. 15,654. When I increased the memory speed I got 15,654 again, but it was literally the exact same score. And then I went up to 980 on the memory, and yeah, it crashed. Or 980 on the core rather, and it crashed, so I don't think that's going to work. So what we're probably going to do now is we're going to have one last ditch attempt to beat that. 979, that's close enough. 2245. So we're going to do one last final run of 3D Mark 11, and then if this doesn't work, we're going to move on to one of the other graphics cards basically. So yeah, going to move on to either the 7950 I think next, and then the 7970. I don't know if we'll get round to that, to be honest, but we'll definitely do the 7950 for the Team Cup. Actually, I don't have the background yet, I don't think. So maybe I do. I'm not sure whether I'll put it on this USB stick or not. If we don't have the background, then we're kind of screwed really, aren't we? Oh well. Don't know what score we're going to get. Hey, we've actually got a better score. That 15,695 on video as well. Super. Well, that's good. It's a good result. A good result indeed. So I think increasing the memory clock maybe then, rather than the core clock, is the way forward. So maybe we'll try that a couple more times, see how it goes. I'm not sure whether that's moved me up any places or not though. I'll have to check. So we just got 15,695, so no, we haven't really gained any places. We need 15,722 or higher to get in the top 20. So it's a bit of a shame, but we had a good go anyway. Maybe this run might do it, we'll see. Would seem just as we were about to give up. We're on a roll now. Still few points off, we're getting there. 15,700 broken. Next step, 15,722. That's what we need to beat him. So unfortunately, it has crashed yet again. So I could not get the correct number, unfortunately. So I think that's it for these GTX580 SLI.